What's going on, people? It's your boy brasstax, baby. You already know, and if you don't, then you should. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Brace yourselves. We review things a little differently down here. Now, if you can hear some kids playing in the background or some background noise in general, I apologize. Listen, it is hot as hell over here. I'm melting. Guess what? My eyeballs are sweating. Right? Do you know how rare it is to have your actual eyeballs sweat? Look, I've got all the windows wide open, right? I'm brown. I should be able to deal with this weather. I can't. It's too much. I've got a real big fear that one day I'm going to come back home and my 75-inch QLED has morphed because it's that hot. Girl came around yesterday. She's wearing my favorite lingerie. Pink one, hot pink. Big fan. Mesh. Yeah, doesn't matter. That's more information than you guys need to know. But anyway, I was horny as hell. She was horny as hell. Guess what? We just chilled out and watched TV with the fan on. Yeah, too hot to even make love. Shit's nasty. Ass all glistening and shit. We just sat on the sofa looking like a couple of turkeys fresh out the oven. Shit looked ridiculous. I'll tell you what we did do though. We watched The Invisible Man. Let me tell you what dedication is. Saw this in the cinema. Then it got early released on digital to rent. Rented it, watched it again. Then for the purposes of this review, I re-rented it because this time it was in 4K Dolby Vision. You guys better start supporting the channel because you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna get so big that Spotify's gonna offer me $100 million to move over there just like Joe Rogan, baby. Congratulations to him, god damn. I find the concept of being an invisible man fascinating. What would you guys do if you were invisible? Okay, no crazy shit that I'm gonna have to delete on the comment section, okay? Don't be coming at me like Hollow Man. Alright, well actually Hollow Man was a good movie, I liked it. You know what I would do? Totally hypothetically, just in case police are listening. I'd rob a few banks, I'd just walk in, walk out, not to be seen, you know? Slide into business class on the plane, travel the world, and you know the obligatory follow our girlfriends around just to see what they're up to, you know, just in case. You know, just normal stuff like that. Just normal stuff, everyday stuff. But I really do want to know what you guys would do if you had that. I want to see what kind of people watch my reviews. So I watched The Invisible Man in the cinema. One thing that struck me after I watched this was, it's amazing how much you can accomplish with such a small budget. This movie was made with $7 million. And it didn't look like it was low budget at all. They played it very smart. Think Paranormal Activity. Sometimes the camera would pan to the side of the room. You can't see anything, but you know that something is there. That's really how the tension is built throughout this movie. Now, I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but even the first 15 minutes is full of tension. You know, you get a situation where someone is trying to leave and, you know, just a lot of tiptoeing going on and you feel as though you're tiptoeing with them. You know shit's getting tense when you forget to breathe. And I think that that's really the best way to build suspense. What you can't see is so much more scarier than what you can. I had someone say to me that this movie is a tad predictable. It can be, but it's so much fun. The journey of the movie is so much fun that I don't think you would care so much. I had certain expectations of this movie and it met them and exceeded them in a lot of parts. I mean, there are some standout moments. When I think of this movie, there are a couple of scenes that really stick to mind, very visceral scenes, and you'll know what they are when you see them. All I'm gonna say, if you watch the movie, The Attic, that scene, god damn. Now, if they decide to make another one of these movies, I'm all in. The only thing that upset me about this movie isn't really the movie itself, but the casting. Now, don't get me wrong, the acting in this from start to finish is really good. But initially, they were going to have Johnny Depp as the antagonist in this. That would have been amazing. I would have loved to see our boy Johnny Depp as the villain. I think it would have been a lot of fun. Yeah, and I think we missed out on that. And we all know who we have to blame for that, don't we, people? This is what happens when you date a woman who is as crazy as she is beautiful. She will turn your whole life upside down. Unfortunately for me, these are the sort of women I attract. Crazy, beautiful women, because the trick is, I'm crazy myself, but I'm crazy in a different way to calm her shit down, where she's thinking, shit, this dude's crazy to me, I better back off. I love them. Notice how the feminists are very quiet right now, huh? That's just a side point. Let's talk about a 4K Blu-ray. Distributed by Universal. It's a native 4K digital intermediate. You got the black bars. Dolby Atmos, HDR10, Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus, baby. A little over 2 hours, and it's a 100 gig disc. Out May 26th in the US. So here we go. This is a lovely clean image, free of grain, it is tasty, it is sharp, it is detailed. As soon as I pressed play on this thing, I looked at the slipcase to make sure that this wasn't a Sony transfer. In chapter 5, bacon and eggs are being fried. Bars. Let me tell you something. I already ate. Me seeing that, in all of that 4K-age, made me hungry again. Made myself an egg and bacon sandwich, I ain't gonna lie to you. Shit looked like one of them QLED demos they play in Best Buy. Guys, you know the drill. Close-ups reveal, pores, wrinkles, pimples, imperfection on the skin, stubble, freckles, it shows it all. I'm looking at a close-up of Elizabeth Moss right now, and I can see individual hair strands on her eyebrows. There's a part in the movie later on that involves a car park and a lot of rain. I mean a lot of rain. And rain in 4K, especially this 4K, looks fantastic. One of the main things I love about Sony releases is the depth in the transfer. Really good three-dimensional pop. Although this isn't a Sony release, this might as well be in that respect because the depth in here is superb. Indoor scenes, outdoor scenes, the depth just delivers. And there are a lot of moments in this movie that are very claustrophobic. Slow walks through the corridor, maneuvering around in the attic is already tense enough, but the depth adds another sense of immersion. This is a great 4K Blu-ray, but there are a couple of things that bring the transfer down somewhat. And the main thing is this movie overall is fairly dark. It's not as bright and as vivid as I would like. It is a little dark for my liking. Not too dark, but I think even the 1080p was a little brighter than this. And secondly, a couple of the indoor shots in low lighting show a bit of film noise. Now someone in the forums is gonna say, maybe it's dark because your TV ain't calibrated. It's calibrated, bitch. Irrespective of that though, as far as visuals go, you know that you're watching something far superior here than anything 1080p can do. And I'm gonna get to the comparisons later on in this review. Let's move on to high dynamic range, HDR. From the offset, your TV's black levels are gonna be tested. The opening scene is a very dark affair. I don't wanna give too much away, but yeah, you're just gonna have to wait and see. It handles blacks very well. On my TV, I experienced no black crush whatsoever. Great detail in blacks that only 4K and HDR can deliver. There are certain scenes that take place in a hospital, in a psychiatric hospital, and very, very bright whites, extremely bright whites, because that's how the hospital looks. Very bright brights, very inky blacks. I alluded to this earlier, there's another scene that takes place in a car park. It's dark, pitch black outside, it's raining. Street lamps are on, car lights are on, hitting the rain against the dark looks amazing. There are a multitude of scenes in this movie that's really gonna test your TV out. Got a flagship? Prove it, baby. Great wider color on display here as well. Very rich. The expanded color is extremely noticeable and it ranges from textures in clothing to the sky to brickwork on the buildings, pavement, indoor scenes. Everything is a step up with more color definition, more color depth than you would see on a 1080p. The tones of this movie change according to the way the main character is feeling. So there's certain scenes where she's, let's say, sad, so you'll get a much cooler look to it. And even in the cooler looks, the cold looks, the wider color is really showing you different shades. Overall it's punchier for sure. Now the HDR10 Plus brings it up a little, ever so slightly in some of the finer things. Right headlights on cars, some of the indoor lighting is turned up a notch. Not much, but it's there. The Dolby Vision matches the HDR and adds a little bit more vibrancy to a couple of the outdoor scenes. Between all three forms of HDR, you're not really missing out on much. Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, you're not gonna be able to maintain social distancing during this movie, because your girl's gonna be holding onto your arm for dear life in some scenes. The tension is crazy. But if you can get her off your shoulder for a second, you tell your girl to sit on the woofer and see what happens. You know what's gonna happen? The bootay is gonna feel all kinds of tension, because the Atmos on this is very, very good indeed. Great height channels, great surround sound. nice detailed, understandable dialogue in the central channels, and overall a very enjoyable experience. Now what this movie is full of is tension and atmosphere, and you need an Atmos track to really convey that, to give you that total immersion. This movie has a lot of claustrophobic scenes in it, and when you have those scenes, it's all about the subtleties. And when there's a scene where she's in the attic and you're hearing all of these little sounds around you, every little creak of the floorboard, you know something's there upstairs. You can hear it ever so slightly, but you're not quite sure what it is. That's what this Atmos delivers. Even with scenes that aren't claustrophobic, there are certain scenes in just normal daytime where you're hearing a lot of things going on around you, a lot of subtleties, a lot of cars horning in the background, people talking in a coffee shop, people talking at dinner around you. There is great overhead when there needs to be. Back to the car park scene with the rain, you're hearing the rain up above you, there's gunshots going on around you. It's a great surround experience. It's not reference, but you'll definitely appreciate it with the movie like this. Bass response is also stellar. There are some bassy scenes where you're hearing gunfire, when you're hearing doors slam. The bootay will get shocked, I ain't gonna lie to you. She's gonna have a fantastic immersive time. And with a movie like this, you can't have anything else but Atmos. 100%. And there we have it, people. How does this compare to other formats? Okay, it totally violates the 1080p in terms of color, in terms of resolution, in terms of sound. It looks better than the 4K digital in movement, and I do notice a lot more detail and close-ups on the physical disc. And on top of that, the digital just doesn't have Atmos. It's a clear winner here. 4K Blu-ray all the way. Overall, this disc gets the brasstax seal of approval, baby. There are a few setbacks which stop it being a reference quality disc, but overall, it's a no-brainer. You need to pick this movie up. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really recommend it. And this will be a great addition to your collection. Now I'm gonna leave some Amazon links if you want to go through that. Costs you nothing extra, but Amazon send a little kickback to your boy. If you want to support the channel, I've got a PayPal me, I've got a Patreon. Do your thing, people. On a side point, would you be interested in a list of my top, let's say, 10 4K digital releases exclusively on digital that you can't get on 4K Blu-ray? Would that be of interest to you? Let me know. But anyway, subscribe if you haven't already. 4K Rockstar. You already know.